MIAA Monday returns with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy. A special edition this week, a Tuesday edition of MIAA Monday, mostly in part because I was out of town in Chicago this past weekend. So, sir, thank you for accommodating and picking us up on a Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see you. Glad you're back. And yeah, welcome to winter, right?
There was a little bit of winter up there, I guess, but I wasn't ready for the wind coming off the lake and everything in Chicago.
Yeah.
That was something else. Like I didn't bring a heavy coat or anything because I didn't want to pack on the plane. But I don't know. But Chicago weather's different. I don't know if I like it.
It's a little different type of cold up there when the temperature's low and the wind comes off the lake and the river, as you said. That chills the bones. So, but yeah, welcome back to Kansas City.
I was going to say, when I got back yesterday, I landed, and it was like that wintry mix and like 38 degrees. I was like, oh, great. Nothing's really changed since I left on Friday. So that was good to see. But it seemed like some things around the MIAA got interesting this weekend a little bit while I was gone. Northwest Missouri State, a big-time win over Nebraska Kearney, but Missouri Western in our neck of the woods getting a victory over Missouri Southern. But it was also, if I recall correctly, it was a pretty special day down at Missouri Southern, too, for the MIAA, kind of a historic day as well. The first female football official in the MIAA history, and that was down there in Joplin at that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Her name is Taylor Darr, and Taylor is a center judge. And yeah, Chris, a historic day on Saturday. Our first MIAA female football official. Taylor's been in the pipeline for a while. She's been training for this moment. Our supervisor of officials for football, Phil Laurie, has been working with Taylor. She is someone that's kind of come from where a few of our MIAA football officials have gotten their start, and that's doing intramural football on a college campus. Taylor and her husband, who's also an MIAA official, got their start doing intramural football at Kansas State University, and then when they graduated, they immediately got certified to be high school officials. And Taylor likes to tell the story about her and her husband working high school games together, and he served as the white hat, so kind of the crew chief for the crew that Taylor was a part of. But Taylor, the last few years, she's been doing Jayhawk JUCO football, and we've had a number of MIAA evaluators that have watched her, seen what she's done, and our supervisor felt this past Saturday she was ready. So we've intentionally stayed away, Chris, from any kind of a feature or profile on our website. We've told Taylor we're going to wait to do that until after her season's over, just so it doesn't create disruption. We do want to celebrate this achievement. It's a big deal. We've seen female football officials now, kind of bust through that glass ceiling in the NFL, and we have a few female NFL officials, and we're excited that Taylor is the first in the MIAA, hopefully the first of a number of female officials that this will create interest and open that opportunity. But we were excited that Saturday happened, and Taylor was the one that got to be part of that historic milestone. It just so happens on Saturday at the game, Chris, Taylor's husband was working the same crew that she was for that Missouri Western, Missouri Southern matchup, and he got hurt early in the second quarter, and his head came in contact with one of the defensive players' helmets. Kind of a scary moment. He was on the ground for a while, but I think he's doing okay, but we obviously withheld him from officiating in the second half. So that crew had to work. They were one person short, and Taylor did a great job. So we're excited about her future, and we're excited to celebrate that milestone for the MIAA.
No, absolutely, and I'm sure this will be a better question for Taylor down the road, but you talk about kind of breaking that glass ceiling. We've seen the NFL female officials kind of in the last couple of years kind of emerge on the scene. How big can this be for, other females, other ladies that want to become football officials in the MIAA? Because I know it's a long process. You've got to kind of work your way up to be an official in the MIAA, regardless of what sport it is, but just how big is that to kind of have this first and have Taylor become the first for the league?
I think it's hugely important for young women to have role models and individuals doing things that perhaps historically, folks for whatever reason didn't think was possible or appropriate. So I think the significance of Taylor working that game on Saturday and what that means for women that are interested in sports, women that are interested in football, women that, Phil Laurie, our supervisor, said, there are a lot of individuals that come from high school football to Jayhawk and then to the MIAA, and they're good officials, obviously, to make it to the MIAA, kind of the pinnacle officiating assignment in Division II. But Phil said, Taylor knows football. She's got that football IQ. She understands the game. She anticipates, where people are going to be and what's going to happen. And so I think, having her, be that individual that achieves this in the MIAA is significant. And I'm hopeful that there are a number of female student athletes of all ages that look at what Taylor's doing and think that, yeah, I want to be an official. And maybe some of them will also want to be an official in football.
Incredible opportunity for Taylor as well as the MIAA, but Taylor becoming the first female football official this past week. And we want to keep the conversation going here now with an event you guys have coming up in about 12 days or so now, I guess 11 days, coming up with the MIAA International Student-Athlete Week. Obviously an important week, just kind of be able to celebrate more student athletes. Just what all goes into that process and kind of getting that week kind of set up?
Yeah, so Chris, we launched this. This will be our 5th year of doing this. We launched it, I think, in 2018, and we were the first NCAA conference to really identify a week where we celebrate our international student athletes. And for the MIAA, it's really a chance for us to celebrate the diversity that's on our campuses, especially in our athletics departments. So as you mentioned, November 15th through the 19th, we'll have our fifth consecutive International Student Athlete Week. And it actually coincides with International Education Week, which is a joint initiative by the Department of State and the Department of Education. Both of those groups have been celebrating International Education Week for a number of years as an opportunity to promote different programs that help prepare students for the global environment, and also helps promote and attract future leaders from abroad to come to the United States to study, to learn, and to share their experiences with students in the United States. And that's obviously what we try to do in intercollegiate athletics as well. When we started this, I was surprised, Chris, to learn how many international student athletes there are on our rosters, and track and field and tennis and golf and volleyball and baseball and cross country, soccer, I think it's important. I'm hopeful at some point the NCAA joins us by identifying this as kind of a national week of celebrating international student athletes and doing that in all three divisions. But until then, we'll continue to do it as a conference, and you'll see some different social media programming and things that we'll do, and then things that our schools are doing, videos and interviews and different posts that will celebrate the international student athletes on the rosters on all 14 of our member institutions.
You talk about just, kind of celebrating the international students, and I remember talking to quite a few of them last fall on the Missouri Western tennis team and the golf women's program that were kind of in limbo there during the whole pandemic of could they come back, were they going home, could they go home, and just being able to celebrate who they are, where they come from, and people don't know all the time the international student athletes' backstory. So again, I think it's just an incredible opportunity here in the next couple of weeks to celebrate these student athletes and kind of learn more about their stories and how they ended up in the MIAA and a part of some of the best programs in the country.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to think about, Chris, what these international student athletes on our MIAA campuses mean to the student body and to the community. Having these international student athletes there, it does enhance the classroom and the co-curricular experience for all students on that campus and really all residents in the community. They have so much to share about their experiences in their home country, their experience in getting to the United States, what it's like to be an international student athlete and to not only adjust to maybe a different environment for learning, but a different environment for being a skilled athlete and part of a team and a different coach and being away from home and so much that they are adjusting to. So it's great for our international students, and it's also great for our domestic students in our communities where we have MIAA schools that we all benefit from these international student athletes being with us.
MIAA International Student-Athlete Week celebration coming up in less than 2 weeks now here in the month of November. And also coming up, previewing the MIAA Soccer Championship Tournament. Yep. That's back again this year. I know we had a spring one in a sense too, but fall championship, like we talked about with cross country last week, having the fall championships back. Central Missouri, the 1 seed, is kind of looking at it. Northwest Missouri State, the 3 seed. And Mark Gordon was talking today at the Northwest Media Luncheon. This may be the first time they've hosted a MIAA tournament. They weren't 100% sure on that, but even so, it's a huge opportunity for the Bearcat soccer team because I know they've been fighting to get toward the top of the league, and this has been a really good year for them and should be a fun MIAA tournament here.
Yeah, very competitive year again, Chris, and MIAA women's soccer, and we'll start our quarterfinals on November 7th, and then the following week, November 12th and November 14th, we'll have the semifinals, the championship on the 14th, the semifinals and the championship at the highest remaining seed, moving into the semifinals. You're right. Yeah, UCM earned the top spot, won the regular season conference championship. It came down to the final weekend. Emporia State, UCM, Northwest, and Central Oklahoma, just a few points separating all 4 of those teams. I think during the year, Chris, at some point, UCM and Emporia State both ranked in the Soccer Coaches Association coaches poll in the top 10. Emporia State, I think, got as high as number 2 in the nation. So it's going to be a great conference tournament, and really, I think a preview of the battles that we'll see for the for the regional and sub-regional title to advance in the NCAA playoffs. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. That'll start here this week, November 7th, and then the semifinals and the championship next week.
And we'll run through the schedule real quick of the first round games before we move on. And number 1, Central Missouri hosting Fort Hays State, the 8th seed. Number 4, Central Oklahoma hosting Missouri Western. Emporia State, the 2 seed, versus the 7th seed Northeastern State, and then Northwest Missouri State hosting Washburn. Like you said, that will get going here this week, and should be a good battle down the stretch to find out who the MIAA Tournament champion will be. Now let's open up the Wild West a little bit of conference realignment or conference Division I, whatever we want to call what's happening at this point. What does Division II do whenever all this continues to happen of SEC does this, the Big 12 is trying to do this, and then you have the mid-majors starting to do more. It's kind of everybody's moving around at this point, it feels like.
And it's true. You know, it doesn't just feel like it. People at the Division I level are jumping ship and moving and jockeying for position to change conferences. And a lot of this was set in motion when Texas and Oklahoma announced their change, Chris, from the Big 12 to the Southeastern Conference. And it really has a trickle-down effect. You see the Big 12 finds new members from the AAC. The AAC finds new members from Conference USA. And it just, and it snowballs. At some point, conferences like the Ohio Valley Conference, the Southland Conference, the Big South, they begin to look at Division II schools because they feel like they need to stay at a certain number to survive, and it really it's really disruptive. It's really challenging. I like to think that our members in the MIAA understand that the type of experience that our student athletes have in the MIAA in Division II is so much better than what a lot of these schools that are at the lower level of Division I are experiencing. Our schools are able to compete for national championships and do it at about half the price of what it takes to run a Division I athletics program. And so it's financially responsible. It's student athlete experience responsible for our schools that get courted or recruited by Division I and say, no thanks, we've got it better where we're at. And I'll tell you, Chris, this is a personal bias, but I think the student athletes that get hurt the most in these conference changes, especially going from Division II to Division I, are our female student athletes. We just talked about women's soccer. We know the strength of the MIAA in women's volleyball. Mm-hmm. We know the strength of the MIAA in women's basketball, women's indoor track and field, women's outdoor track and field. These student athletes do not have that same type of experience if they move to the Division I level. Our student athletes in Division II, and in particular in the MIAA, have championship experiences, competing for conference championships and national championships, and that's not replicated when these schools move to Division I. A lot of these decisions on changing conferences in Division I or decision of going from Division II to Division I is oftentimes driven by media contracts, and that's really based on football and primarily men's basketball.
Right.
And there's really no strategic thought related to women's athletics for any of those moves. So, as a commissioner and where things stand right now, it's something I'm worried about. It's something that we monitor. We put a membership task force in place in the MIAA recently to address some of these issues. It's being chaired by Dr. Jerry Farley at Washburn University. But I really think at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that our MIAA schools recognize that the grass isn't greener, that the opportunities to go someplace in Division I and spend a whole lot of money that you should be using in other places on campus, that really Division II and MIAA life is the place to be. And it's as I mentioned, certainly the fiscally responsible place to be, and the place where our schools can compete for national titles.
I'll get you out of here on this question just about, keeping schools in the MIAA. Just, is that a challenge that maybe we don't think about on the outside so much, but internally you guys kind of think about sometimes? Okay, how do we keep the premier teams that we have here in the MIAA from wanting to explore other options, like you said, that with things changing in Division I starts looking at Division II a little bit. How do you guys look at those more than maybe we think that you guys have to look at it?
Yeah, we have to look at it, Chris. And in the last, I'd say in the last 8 months, we've seen 25, at least 25 announced conference changes at the Division I level. A couple of those are Division II schools, and I don't say moving up to Division I say moving over, because I don't think there's anything up about it. I don't think you're strategically improving your institution. So it's a lateral move to just spend more money. But our schools recognize that in the last couple of years, University of California, San Diego, Tarleton State, Dixie State, Bellarmine, recently Texas A&M Commerce, all Division II schools that have had some national success, are making this move, and they're doing it for a variety of reasons. Some of it's related to the areas that they're located, the geography, the challenges they find, and maybe being able to find Division II, quality Division II opponents. But we like to think that we've got a really good thing going here in the MIAA, geographically centered, schools in 4 states. No school has more than about a 5 or 6 hour drive to get to a competition. And like I said, in every sport, our student athletes are getting first-class experiences by being able to compete for national championships. And our schools have resources that they can still, do things that they need to be doing to enhance the academic programs on campus. So it is something we worry about, but I think there's a lot of good reasons, a lot of things that we have in our elevator speech in the MIAA of reasons why our schools are happy where they're at.
MIAA football, known as one of the best in the country, if not the best. I was talking with Northwest basketball coaches Austin Meyer, Ben McCollum today. They said the same thing about basketball. We've heard it from volleyball. Soccer's making its way up there too. Just so many good programs from the MIAA on top of Division II. And like we've talked about before, just who knows where everything's going to end up. But right now, MIAA looks better than ever at this point. So,
yeah, keep your eyes on all of this, and we'll continue to talk about it, Chris. But it's a challenging time in college sports, a lot of disruption, a lot of anxiety that people have in trying to figure out what's going on and where all of this will land. And we just have to be confident in the MIAA that we're doing things the right way. We're taking care of our student athletes. We're giving our communities great sporting events that they can attend and great student athletes they can cheer for. And we just got to keep doing that, doing that, controlling the things that we can control.
Absolutely. MIAA football season will roll on. Soccer postseason play. Volleyball is getting close. And of course, we have winter seasons coming in. Basketball this weekend, especially for Northwest Missouri Western. But MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you as always for coming on MIAA Monday on a Tuesday this week because of travel arrangements. But thanks as always.
That's right. Good to see you, Chris. Thanks for your time.
Take care.